Hey everybody, this is Doing Lines. This is the podcast where we bet on all the not sports and a little bit of the sports of sports, and sometimes we'll even talk about sports. I'm your host, Kyle Ayers, joined as always by my co-host, Austin Huff.
Did you see the sports this week, man?
I did.
Absolutely just crazy, honestly.
I saw one, and I think it was crazy.
Yeah.
I saw a sport. I mean, we're a couple of Cotton Bowl champion fan here, and a Cotton Bowl, what a time to be alive.
Hey, I went down to the Cotton Bowl. It's my first time at Jerry World, and let me just say this: that stadium it's massive. It's very big. You walk up to it, and you're just like, oh, I am just a pawn in this game of life. It is so massive. And then I will say this: not the coolest stadium I've ever been to.
Yeah,
definitely the biggest and like just the most grandest. But I still think the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where the Falcons play, and then Lucas Oil in Indianapolis, where the Colts play, are two of the. And I'm saying that as a Titans fan.
Lucas Oil in Indianapolis to me always just looks like, and I mean this in a cool way, a shed.
Yeah,
it's very open, and it seems like you can see outside a lot.
Yeah, the roof was open when I went, and that made it like really cool because it like felt like an outdoor stadium while also being tucked away. I don't know. It was and just like even just walking around concourses, and then the Falcon Stadium, the concessions are abnormally cheap.
I really am a big fan of that. I'm like really, I think that's really wonderful because I see that at the beginning of every year. They're like, hey, it's $2 for a hot dog. Hey, it's $1.75 for a drink. They're just like, get your families in here.
Stands.
Right. It's like we have a Dr. Thunder on tap that you can get.
Yeah, right.
Where this is Shasta Stadium. I'm a big fan of that. The LAFC does it the same way. So you go down to games there for their MLS team, and they're very much like, get the family in here.
Yeah.
We'll make a bunch of money off beer. But we want kids we want people to be able to swing this as their thing they can do.
There's no doubt the Falcons are making probably more money in concessions than other teams, right?
I would buy, if something is like $4, I'll buy 3 of them before I buy one $12 thing because I feel insane buying a $12 hot dog. But I would go to Dollar Night at the Royals game, which is what basically Dollar Night is what they pay most of their players. And I would go, I'm a huge Royals fan. And we're going to get into the sports betting and all that, but we're going to recap what's going on for a little bit. I will go to Royals games, and it would be $5 if you have a college ID to get in.
Yeah.
And then $1 for hot dogs and peanuts and Pepsi. And you're just like, that's a good recipe for 800 people puking in the third inning.
I went to a Dollar Night at the Royals game, too, one time, and I walked away with a Mark T in.
Jersey? Or just the person?
The person.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can get Adalberto Mondesi at 8 cents at this point. It is wild. I just the Royals have been very good for 2 years of my life, and probably fun for 3 other years, and then actually like a Jay Leno punchline for 27 of them, and. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about the 90s, he's like, this is so bad out here. It could be the Royals. And people are just like, we were kind of a forgettable team, and then out of nowhere in the World Series twice. Yeah. And then kind of forgettable again. But
you guys seen this internet, the World Wide Web? What is it? www before every website? What? That's as many W's as the Royals have in a season.
That's actually a really good job.
That was also my best Jay Leno impression.
So funny. That was really good. I thought you were doing Conan, but Leno was close too. The Royals really need here. There's a direct. The better a team is, the worse their promotions tend to be.
Yeah.
So, like, at this point, the Chiefs don't do promotions anymore. They know you're going to show up. They don't need to be like, come get your Javon Belcher commemorative. Well, that's a bad example of a person.
Ooh,
but come get your Javon Belcher commemorative last text message.
Get a Javon Belcher shot glass.
Right. Everything pours out the side because the shot glass is so young. But the Royals don't need to do like Patrick Mahomes T-shirt night. or the Chiefs don't, but the Royals will be like, we're giving away like high quality bobbleheads that you can plug in and use as security cameras at your home, or like absolutely their giveaways are worth more than the tickets. They'll be like, we're giving away signed jerseys to the first 80,000 people.
Yeah, it's insane. The one team which I will give them credit, the one team that I know that is a successful franchise that does really good giveaways is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh yeah,
they will do. Not only will they do bobblehead nights on like probably like 30 nights out of the season,
every player.
But yeah, almost every player on their 40-man roster, they will give a bobblehead away for. But they will also give away 50,000 of them.
Yeah,
that's a stadium that's
really,
seats
really wild.
53,000. So it's like almost every single person that goes
the
to the game. The
Lakers are actually a similar thing in I think LA. Like I went to a couple of Lakers games that were like sock giveaways for the announcer who'd retired, or like Christmas ornament giveaways that are like real glass Christmas ornaments, and they were just like, "Do you want a few?" Everyone who walked in, "Do you want a few?" So I took them. I don't care about the Lakers at all, but you're going to see LeBron James, and they're giving you stuff.
Yeah, right. I like it. Like my take home gift from that Lakers game should just be the memory of seeing one of the all time greats playing basketball. But it's like, no, you also get this cool Lakers jersey with an In-N-Out patch on it.
The Royals are now doing a thing where they're like, remember that when we were good, and they'll be like, we're giving away 2015 Salvador Perez when he hit that double in the ALCS. Bobbleheads. Well, we got to get into our episode though. We're getting a little off the rails here.
We got way off the rails, but
we're doing some sports betting.
I'll talk stadium promotions with you any day of the week, Kyle.
Yeah. We got some sports betting going on. Austin and I are going to lay out 6 bets for our guest. I want to recap last week. Last week we had Alan Bell back on.
Yes,
Austin. Alan, one of our best guests of all time, made a repeat visit and once again lost $600. Here's what I would call Kyle's bad beat of the week. We had a bet called there are 8 teams who were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Will over one of them win?
Yeah, because the line was set at 1.5.
It didn't hit. The Cardinals, honestly, I thought the biggest underdog of all 8 of them.
Yeah. I thought that, in fact, when you started reading the list, I think that was the one you led with, and I was like, oh, there's not a chance.
But because the Panthers,
it was like
the
Pats, worst.
The Jets, the Giants, the Titans, the Commanders, and the Chargers all lost.
Yeah. It was, and I can confirm the Titans won.
And not many of those teams, except the Giants, or not the Giants, only really the Commanders were playing like an overwhelming first-place team. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like everyone was playing the Ravens and the 49ers and the Chiefs and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Wild. And then, anyways.
That was truly the bad beat of the week.
You lost $300 on that bet because that was your lock of the week.
Okay. We didn't need to share that.
Alan lost $600 overall. Austin, last week you lost $200. Not bad.
All right. What did you do?
I won $200 because my lock was the Chiefs not having a complete meltdown.
That's like a $400 swing right there for us.
Yeah. So currently the standings.
Where are we?
Austin has $1,400 on the season cumulative. Kyle has $1,650 cumulative on the season.
Dang it!
It was just that was.
I had the lead for all week.
The difference was just what we put our locks on. I mean, you put your lock in Seattle and I put mine on a bridge in Paris. And that's the difference between...
It was romantic, though.
All right, well, we have a great guest. This is the last regular season week. We have maybe our first ever Rams fan. Half of the Rams fans in the known universe are on this episode today. Let's get them in here and let's get going.
There's something about betting that feels like Greek mythology or something. It does feel like poetic all the time, no matter what. However it's not supposed to go. It feels like that's... It's obviously like its main appeal also, but it does feel kind of ancient in that way where you're like, of course you got destroyed.
Austin did bet that vulture wouldn't eat his intestines that day, but unfortunately it came right back.
Honestly, I'm still recovering.
All right.
The over-under on getting close to the sun.
The over-under on that boulder finally staying at the top of the hill.
The Greek gods betting on shit.
This is George Karloftis betting day. All right, we'll do it here. Hey, everybody. Our guest this week, maybe our first ever Rams fan on the podcast, which honestly would make sense, like numbers-wise. We're joined by very funny comedian Sam Wiles is here. Sam, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. I'm going to leave it in, but I want to leave in us talking about betting as a Greek or like a mythological institution because it's so insane.
Over under heads on the Hydra. What do you think? 2.5.
Oh man, I like the idea of like Zeus is like a impartial referee. So Zeus is like, well, Icarus actually didn't claim he was going to be eligible downfield that play, so we've decided to not count his flight. I'm looking forward to the last week of the season because this is the last week for the refs to put calls on tape, so teams know how to prepare around their stupidity. This is the last week that they can put out stuff you've never heard of in your entire life and then call it 800 times to pretend it's a normal penalty.
Yeah, Barry Allen's crew, you cannot throw deep because he's not going to call pass interference, and you cannot try and report as eligible. Even if you tell him, it's not going to matter anything.
Just generally, like being a referee, I do think like who wants that life? You know what I mean? Like we've grabbed the weirdest group of.
I know. It's
and
like
we scream at them every week, and we expect like, why would you ever want to be a referee in a million years? It is zero, like it has zero appeal.
I don't get it.
You don't get to enjoy any of the partiality of sports, the thing that makes it fun and good.
Well, no, Sam, I agree with you, but I think we're also like missing the biggest reason of why you wouldn't want. Let's set aside the getting screamed at and everyone hating your guts, and you can never do right because no one ever says, "Oh, that was a good call, ref." The biggest thing is these are these guys' second jobs. Who wants to work two
they're
jobs?
Mostly like postal workers and stuff.
Yeah.
Insane.
I like the idea that like when they were younger they also had this and another thing where they were like, sure, I am a paper boy, but I'm also a part-time hall monitor at a school I don't go to, and I'm not allowed to root for any of the kids to get to class on time.
Right. Or bet on the kids.
What is the job-related
perk at all?
You love hate mail?
Does no one in your life like sports? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have no family who roots for any team?
Maybe it's like they just want really good seats to football.
But then you don't even get to like it. Like
it's really wild.
And you don't even get to sit down, honestly. You have to stand the whole game.
It's like being like a private cop. You know, like they're just you just like rules for their own sake. Like
I'm really
pension. You're like a $20 an hour rules guy. That sucks.
The interview is just someone being like, so you've never liked any team in any sport? Nope. And you don't mind when 22-year-old kids scream at you? Nope. I won't take it personal. Okay, great. And you have no ego? I promise I have no ego.
They're just on like Pain Pig Reddit, just like who here likes getting yelled at. Like,
I like the idea of them having black and white striped like leather straps.
Yeah. We got a good class coming in this year. We found a full referee crew that loves to get screamed at. Like, look where we you can still see the shackle marks on their wrists.
We hired everyone who worked at Popeyes the day the sandwich came out.
Being a ref recruiter going to the worst events of all time.
I would have got recruited from the Apple store probably. If it was who can take getting screamed at by young people they'll never see again, that's where you'd find them.
I taught 5th grade at an Orthodox school once. It was that's like the closest to being a referee of all time. Like everyone hates you. This isn't for fun. It doesn't pay enough. I have other jobs.
It also has a bunch of rich people who've bet on these kids' futures.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
I've got 80 grand on my son not being an asshat in 9 years.
Good luck.
Well, we got some bets. This is the final week of the season. This week's fun because 80% of the games don't matter to half of the teams. And there's upwards of almost 2 games that matter.
Should we bring in our backups for this week's episode? I feel like as starters, we should rest this week.
Not even to harp on referees too much, but do you remember the one time they were like, fine, we'll try other people, and it was even worse?
Yeah.
It all feels like the Parks and Rec when Adam Scott talked about making Iceland or whatever out of his whole city that he lived in before he moved to Pawnee. You're like, oh, well, we let a different guy try for a day and he turned it into an ice park. I like the fact that the NFL is like, we just don't have the money to allocate to full-time employees that influence the season.
That's so fun.
I just don't understand why Roger Goodell, like this year, I don't know if you guys have picked up on the fact that like the NFL is like fining players at like an alarming rate this season, where it's like running backs will like lower their head and try not to get tackled and they'll be fined like $20,000. Why not take that money alone if you're going to find these guys? Take that money and put it towards making these guys full-time
half
at
of
their
a ref's. That's like a third of a year for them.
Well, like if I had to leave my job, my day job at like, you know, whatever I'm working, if I'm working at like a law firm, and then I have to leave that to then fly to Seattle to referee a Seahawks game, like I would be so miserable. I would be so annoyed. That's like, oh, now I have to go to my other job. And that to me is just like, well, make them full time. Make them just focus on their calls.
You work at an office. Say you work at like an office in like in Detroit, and then everyone at your work hates you from your other job.
That's what's wild. These are
If you have two jobs, no one at your other job hates you because of your other
right.
Well, I casually enjoy your second job as my only hobby. It's my whole personality. It is just wild to think there's a group of people who are part-time who have no influence in their lives. No one in your life cares about any of these games because every game affects every other team.
Yeah.
Right.
It's wild. It has felt especially bad this season, and Austin and I were just talking about it a little bit before we got going too. But at least this is their last chance. We got to call offensive offsides 15 more times to pretend we called it all the time before the Tony play.
I also think the NFL is so like vague and weird because they don't want to take responsibility for anything. So I think they are giving the refs like impossible notes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, like a sack, like it's illegal if he has like too much momentum or whatever. Like imagine if you had a bunch of impossible equations in your head and then you were trying to like ref a normal game, but you had to like judge how hard like Myles Garrett was like trying to tackle a quarterback. Like that would be impossible.
The biggest, fastest, largest man who's running full speed for work.
It all happens like a car accident, like every single thing.
It is wild to me.
And you have to make a decision in split seconds. You know, it's like trying to hit a curveball while also that ball could also be thrown from behind you. You know, like you just have to like...
Yeah, and that curveball's 310 pounds. And his name is Aaron Donald. Like,
right.
I'm blown away still. I think we could take so much off their plate. Why do we have them spot the ball still? That's the craziest thing to me. There's a chip in the ball, and we're like, no. You know who knows where that ball was down in that pile? The old guy 30 yards away.
The getting yelled at man with
he just comes running in from the side while he's getting screamed at by someone, and he's like, no, that was 1.5 yards, not 1 2/3. And you're like, really? Just there's a chip in the ball. There's a chip. Yeah. Was it in Missouri's game or no? I think it was in one of the playoff games for the college football. They broke the sticks on accident.
Yeah.
And they were just trying to fix the sticks for 15 minutes because the little nub came off. And then the chain fell off. And like, are we still using a chain? Are we still you have to hope a 80-year-old can run straight?
Well, look, as the announcers will remind you in every broadcast, those yellow lines are not official, okay? So we have to use the chains.
Oh, but there's a chip in my AirPods know if I walk 8 feet away from them. And it'll be like, are you sure you're leaving your AirPods?
I still want that to be a job, though. I still want ref to be a job. I'm just pro jobs existing. We can't automate.
I think I would love it if they were just there because what happens in all this to me is they lose control of the game. Like the Chiefs and Bengals got in like 8 fights because these guys don't have the play calls are confusing, the penalties are confusing. It's the same as like baseball. If you just had an ump behind the plate relaying what the robot called, no one can yell at him. The robot's going to be right, and then he gets to better monitor like the energy of the game and the base paths and that sort of thing.
Kyle, do you remember the Raiders-Chiefs game last year in Arrowhead where the refs got scared?
Yeah, Carl Cheffers almost cried.
Yeah, I was at that game. It was insane. Like I've never seen like a crowd that like because they just kept making like
they called like a roughing the passer on a play where Chris Jones caused a fumble.
It was like cartoonishly worse calls. Like one-sided every bad call, and like the Raiders kind of had no business being in that game, but it was keeping them in that game. Mm-hmm. And there was almost like a we want to go home energy that was like really making people go nuts. Like all the some hardcore Chiefs fans also brought like their wives or kids or something, and they were like fussy because it was like Monday night at like 9 p.m. And so all of that was just creating this insane like Ghostbusters 2 slime dome, and it scared the shit out of every ref.
He was like, this was because I got a
illegal
motion, and you're like, come on, Carl, let's see it. Call it, Carl. Call it. Like it was trembling voice, and I mean, Chiefs fans. I believe that there are some really, really great Chiefs fans. I do think on the far end of bad fans, the Chiefs ones might be like really bad because these are like gun-toting. These are like fist fight. The reason they hate Raiders fans so much is because they're the same, except Raiders fans do makeup better. Like it is. There's always fights. It's always a bunch of drunk people.
Kyle and I have talked about this off pod. There's an unhealthy like Missouri fandom. Like if you're from Missouri, like you.
Oh yeah.
All my family's from Missouri. I was born in Missouri. There's your Missouri relationship to sports is like, I think it's unnatural. It's like different than other places. It's like this isn't good. It's all like terminally, like pessimistic in a way that almost takes the joy out of it. So then you're just left with rage. There's like nothing.
They'll rob banks to fund their trips.
He's one of the better fans, I think. I'm sorry, the redistribution of wealth amongst that guy. I mean, I like got in. I was tweeting about it, and some guys like, I manage one of those banks, and my employees were terrified. And I'm like, sounds like bad leadership. And this guy got so upset. I'm like, if my manager was not a good person, I would be scared too. But it is absurd. They party a lot. It's like Buffalo, except they somehow think it's easier to get home. Just ask the assistant coaches. It's like it is. There's not a lot to do. There's not a lot close. There's not a basketball team to take up like every day during football season. I think cities with basketball teams can root for the Knicks 3 times a week, or what I mean, root for the basketball team. There just really isn't a lot to do, and it's really flat and low and boring, and people are really into it. And they were so bad and then so good but choky for so long. I've seen people say that this season has made Mahomes' career a disappointment. This is the level of insanity that people are ready to swing back to in Kansas City. Where you're like, you do realize he's God. Like last time anyone could have been the best player ever, he was.
Yeah, Missourians can't handle good things. Like it's just the bottom needs to fall out. Everyone will be so relieved when they're bad again.
They flexed the Chiefs game from Saturday to Sunday because so many people in Missouri celebrate January 6th as a holiday. They had to black it out because they're just re-showing the Fox News footage from 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Right.
4 years ago? What year was that even? 3 years ago. Anyways, we should get into the bets. I mean, I could go on all day about like, I don't know. There's not really a middle ground for Chiefs fans. Of like, there's like a bunch of people who are like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened, which is where I am at. Like, I cannot believe this. And then there's people that are just like, the second the sky falls, it's over.
They're scaling the wall as if it was the Capitol.
Yeah, they are. Except the Chiefs are so unsure-handed, they're gonna be the guy who fell off like it was a Mario level. All right, we got to get into our bets.
Yeah.
Sam, we let you know, since we're all pretty wealthy people here, I can see you have framed artwork behind you in your home. We don't keep any of our money from our winnings, so we always play for charity. Is there charity you'd like to put your $1,000 of wagers towards?
I'd like to play for the Clyde Edwards-Helaire Foundation. And it's just money that goes to Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's it. That's all it is.
He's little tiny. He's not very good at his job. And I just feel bad. He can't like ride any rides. He can't. He mostly in my head eats Lunchables. I just think he could use the cash because it's not, he's kind of done. And
I have such an odd relationship thinking about it. He's been pretty good in the games Pacheco couldn't play.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it turns out after college he lost a bunch of weight trying to be faster.
Oh boy!
And then he just got destroyed all the time in the NFL.
Yeah, he's so
he
small.
would fall. A Chiefs writer who I like, whose name is Seth Kaiser. He writes a really good newsletter on the Chiefs. Just wrote about how Edwards-Helaire for first 2 years in the league would fall backwards every time he got hit. Like this guy fell backwards, and then he's like he put on 20 pounds this year, and he's like now he falls forwards, and it's like it's changed everything. I mean that's the difference between 2 and 3.5 yards, but what a first-round pick.
Yeah, you have to feel bad for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. First of all, it takes you 3 minutes to say his name, but also for the fact that like he'll bust off a long run, but it's like, oh, that was nice, good job, Clyde. And then Isaiah Pacheco will bust off the same run, and it's like that dude can run because he runs like a freaking cartoon.
I've never seen a team have running backs who both look stupider running the ball than these two idiots. Isaiah Pacheco
doesn't look cool.
He runs like a Super Nintendo rendering.
Yeah.
Like where there's and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire runs like Gimli in a fight.
You know how like in Flintstones, like whenever they would take off running, they would always like run in place before taking off?
Yeah.
That's Isaiah Pacheco on every carry.
Yeah, he runs like if he looks down, he's going to hold up a sign that says help and fall off the cliff.
Yeah, right.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire looks like when he runs Yakety Sax is playing.
There's also something that his number is big. It's 25, but I mean the physical numbers are a 2 is bigger than a 1 and a 5 is large, and his name is large, and it makes him look even smaller.
Yeah,
because
like
it just looks like a regular name doesn't fit. Yeah. Yes, that is what it looks like. And he's been okay this year and won't be back next year, and it's weird to see a first-round pick not have his fifth year exercise or whatever. But boy, does he just looks like Gimli to me every single time. Yeah. Like I'm expecting like Travis Kelce to chuck him up an elephant.
His name would be weird if it was just Edward-Helaire, but he then added another dad name to it.
Man, it'd be cool if he was Clyde Edwards. Like that's a cool name.
I like Clyde Edwards. Clyde Edwards, I'd say it was a much better running back than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are just really like this season they're going to cut a lot of guys with hyphenated names. I think that this is the year where they drop the most letters. Maybe this should be an off-season bet, what team cuts the most letters. But between Valdez-Scantling and Edwards-Helaire, our Jersey guy is going to have a real calm off-season.
Like he was really relieved after Smith-Schuster and then
right. He couldn't believe he traded Hill for Smith-Schuster and Valdez-Scantling and Edwards-Helaire. And he's just like, wow, this is insane.
You're rolling in the money if you invested stock into Jersey hyphens this season.
Okay, well, let's get into our bets. Austin and I will let you know all 6. You have $1,000. We just ask that you bet on at least 2. You don't have to bet on all of them. One of your bets has to be your lock, which will be double the winnings or triple the losses, whether it hits or loses. And you're allowed to parlay. We don't really know what that is.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So,
but some people
we'll take
have
your
done
word
it.
for it.
So if you're like, this will be this much multiplier, we believe you.
Okay.
So here we go. Here's my bets for this week. My first bet: the Houston Texans play the Houston Texans play the Indianapolis Colts on January 6th. These are two teams whose mascots look like the shaman who stormed the Capitol. The Houston Texans mascot especially looks like that shaman who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. And, I mean, between Houston and Indianapolis, I think as far as major metropolitan areas, they probably had a huge amount of representation at the insurrection.
Yeah,
and the Colts mascot is that grandma that's like, I'm here for my grandson.
I think the Colts mascot was just Jim Irsay being there.
Right. The only reason you didn't see Colts gear there is because they wear blue.
Yeah. Right, and the people who were there were killing everyone in blue. So my January 6th, Houston Texans versus Indianapolis Colts. You know that shaman's in jail for 41 months?
It's a funny amount of time.
It is a funny amount of time. Are there any scoring plays beyond the 41-yard line in this game? So for field goals, that would be a 58-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Because if they kick from the 41. Are there any scoring plays from beyond the 41-yard line in this game? This is if it hits, it pays 1.5 times because I feel like it's kind of a harder thing to do. So I'm giving this a 1.5 times multiplier if it hits.
Okay.
So if you bet 100, you win 150 or you lose 100. I feel like that's decent odds to put on it.
I'll bet 100 that it does happen. I feel like Alec Pierce gets one long catch a game.
All right.
You know what I mean?
He does. He really does.
These are two very weird offenses.
As a Titans fan, he certainly does, especially late in overtime to set up the game-winning score.
And what's secretly more important to the guys who stormed the Capitol than wide receivers? Do you know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, everyone storming the Capitol is a real lunch pail guy. This was like a real punch in, punch out. This is like a real this guy grinds it out, makes the most out of what he has type of guy.
Talking about receivers who are too flashy, but they're just black.
Yeah, I know. It's the Chris Paul, Steve Nash conundrum.
Yeah.
Two players with basically identical careers who have very different descriptors.
Yeah.
All right, and you can wait and bet at the end too if you want, so you can see what you want to allocate on what, because you're probably not going to want to bet on all of them, because once we get to Austin's, they usually are horrible.
You're not going to want to bet on any of mine.
Worst bookie ever.
My next one is, since you're a Rams fan, one of the few games that has any implications on anything, and it still barely does, is the Rams 49ers. These are two of the top teams for yards after catch. Simple bet, what team has more? This is like crazy shiftiest wide receiver thing I've ever seen in my life. These two, like these teams. So I'm just going most yak.
And that is a the coveted Sam Darnold Carson Wentz matchup this weekend.
Right. I think it's crazy that if Stafford played in this game and like went nuts, he won't win MVP because it's narrative. It's all narrative based. And everyone just chooses every week who would win if that season ended, and they just chose last week. And Lamar has probably been the MVP, but I think Stafford's been the second MVP in the league this season, especially if you ignore the first 3 weeks when they're figuring stuff out.
I think they're both sitting. I think both the starters are.
Yeah, it's Wentz v. Darnold.
Right.
Yeah, Wentz v. Darnold.
I just wish Stafford would play and put up numbers because I wish he had an MVP in his career.
I agree.
I wish, regardless of the podcast I was appearing on, they would just talk about that for a little while. every podcast is like, we do need to talk about how Stafford's actually the MVP. Like,
people really, I mean, I don't know. If I really think who the MVP is, I think it's CMC, but it's never going to happen. Yeah. And then after that, I'm like, well,
crazy. It should be him. Like, why call it the best quarterback award then?
That's the thing that, like, when I was out on the MVP award was after 2020, and obviously I'm insanely biased, but when Derrick Henry rushed for the 5th most rushing yards in NFL history, and didn't even get like,
was that a Rodgers year?
Yeah, it was one of Rodgers, and Rodgers put up like his 6th best season of his career.
The next year was a Rodgers year, and Cooper Kupp should have won it.
Yeah, exactly.
Greatest wide receiver season of all time on a Super Bowl winning team. Yeah, I think it should have been the
These guys really hate advanced analytics until they have to use them to justify giving a quarterback a thing by talking about like his EPM02. Like, well, Rodgers had a 7th best EPM02 since 1991, so we should give it to him instead of the guy with 1 million yards.
I think Rodgers that year he won it was like in between Kirk Cousins and Eli Manning as the most passing yards in a season that year. And it was like, okay, Derrick Henry had the 5th most of all time in the history of the NFL. And
if you
Aaron
take
Rodgers
out murderers.
yeah, right. Then there's 4. And I don't know. How many did Ray Caruth have? No, okay.
You can't tell me Jim Brown never killed anyone.
I mean, on the football field back then.
Someone, and we'd all be like, good. like Jim Brown, killed,
yeah.
Be like, I bet that guy deserved it.
Yeah, it feel. I mean, the MVP is now the tough part is because the Cy Young is the pitching award, right? And sometimes they'll give them both, but pitchers are easy. I think quarterbacks are still an everyday player. I think is the tough thing behind like separating these two things. If you made a quarterback award, that would have to be the MVP, and then you would need like the OP of the year to always be a non-quarterback. It just doesn't feel like the same weight as MVP and Cy Young in baseball.
Well, and I don't know. It's obvious that CMC is like more valuable to that team than Purdy, I think.
Yeah. I just want to think like if you had to put in someone else. If someone else had to play that position, what team falls off the most? And it might be Lamar Jackson and CMC.
Yeah.
But if you had to put someone else in at Christian McCaffrey's position for the 49ers, they probably lose 3 more games, which is insane.
And meanwhile, the 49ers literally used CMC to take over Brock Purdy's position in the NFC Championship last year.
Voluntarily.
So it's like that right there should tell you who they view as the most valuable player on their team.
So there's my second bet. I want to get to my third one. Green Bay plays Chicago this weekend in another game that kind of matters. In weird ways, it matters for Green Bay's playoffs, but I think this game matters for the Bears a lot because all of their fans love their quarterback. Mm-hmm. They have the first overall pick. If their quarterback goes into Green Bay and knocks the Packers out of the playoffs and then they trade him, then I don't know. Chicago might have a cow burn down the stadium. Like I've never seen this weird disconnect between what I think Fields is better than any quarterback in this draft. I think Caleb Williams is going to end up being kind of a bust. He doesn't look like he likes football. And I think Fields can figure it out. Here's my thing. We got Jordan Love, who's coming into his own. We got Justin Fields. So we got Love Fields, which is actually an airport in Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, that only is for Southwest Airlines. Are there any touchdowns in the southwest of the end zone? The southwest corner of Lambeau Field. So Lambeau Field is a north-south running stadium as far as the field itself. So there is a southwest corner of the end zone. Are there any touchdowns? I'm giving it 2.5 to 1 if it hits.
Wow, this is great.
I call this the Love Field Airport bet.
Okay, I love that bet, Kyle. Might be one of my favorite from the season. Okay, my first bet this week. It's aptly titled "Horseshit, Bullshit, or Kitty Litter," and this one is literally it's simple. Is the AFC crown horseshit, bullshit, or kitty litter? Now this bet is an either or with a chance to double your bet. So, is it horseshit, Colts, bullshit, Texans, or kitty litter, Jaguars? Now, the Jaguars, if they win, they're AFC South champions. If they lose, it will go to the winner of Colts, Texans. So, if you take the Colts, Texans, and they end up winning, like if you take the Colts and they end up winning the AFC South, you double your bet. So if you take anyone in the Colts, Texans game, you double your bet, or if you take the Jaguars, you just get even money.
My bet had an airport in it, and I understand it more than what you just said.
Yeah, for the listener, Kyle had the full map out with yarn and text. It looks like a crime scene trying to figure out what that bet meant.
Okay, so who wins the AFC South? Jaguars is even money,
right?
2 to 1 on.
There's 3 teams. There's 3 teams. One
what
team.
What if I put it
the
on
Jaguars?
The Titans?
Yeah, okay, that's just mean. That's we didn't need to go there. Okay. We spent 40 minutes talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and we can't. Here you are going to rub my nose in the friggin' Titans.
Dude, you laugh
Titan
now, but
shit
the way this
is what
math
it is.
works out sometimes, you never know with this end of the season stuff.
The Titans are horseshit, bullshit, and all of that wrapped into kitty litter. So yeah, if you take Colts or Texans, you have a chance to double your bet if they win the South. If you just take Jaguars, it's even money. My next one. This one is called Quarterback Controversy. People are asking. There are obviously a ton of backups this week, but a lot of which are starting for the first time this year. So like the Nick Mullins of the world, not including that as him as a backup because he's obviously had starts under his belt. Same thing with Tyrod Taylor. So of the quarterbacks getting their first starts this week, Blaine Gabbert for the Chiefs, Jeff Driscoll for the Browns, Carson Wentz with the Rams, Trevor Siemian with the Jets, and Tyler Huntley for the Ravens.
That's right, baby. It's week 18 of the 2014 season.
If you're not excited for football this year, I don't know what gets your blood going.
We've got Cordell Stewart coming off the bench.
Right. So I want to know, is there a quarterback controversy in these cities? Basically, do the backups have a winning record? Now, you're guaranteed 1 win and 1 loss with obviously Rams. Or no. Sorry, I'm not including.
Darnold.
Oh wait. Oh no, I forgot Sam Darnold on there. So yeah. So
wow, what
with
are you
Niners,
most GMs.
Damn it, that's good. Sam. So since Sam Darnold and Carson Wentz, obviously they'll go 1-for-1. Of the other 4 quarterbacks, is there a winning record or not?
What teams is this? Kansas City,
Chiefs, Browns, Rams, Jets. Rams and Niners are playing each other. Jets and Ravens.
Okay.
And then lastly, my pop culture bet of the week. Micah Cat Williams was trending today. Apparently, he went on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay.
I already listened. It's incredible.
It is
so good.
He takes shots at Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley. He said rape is never funny, which I think we should probably all agree with. But then he also
can run a 40 in 4.616 seconds, which would be the fastest 40 ever.
He's the Chris Johnson of comedy, is what people call him. He also took shots at Cedric the Entertainer, said that he stole some of his jokes, just kind of like went off on him. So for this week's pop culture bet of the week, we're focusing in on Jameson Williams, since he is a Williams on a Cat team.
Okay.
Let me finish, Kyle. Now, Cedric the Entertainer grew up a Steelers fan, but he has admitted to being fully switched over to being a Bears fan. So, does Jameson Williams rank in the upper half of Bears receivers this weekend? Does he have more than the median, basically? So, is he in the, if there's, 8 guys that catch passes, is he in the top 4? That's it. That's the bet, Kyle.
Yeah, no, I could tell. I live in LA and I've seen shorter hikes to less.
All right, Dallas Love Field.
You're really putting the run in Runyon Canyon.
Jeez.
Okay, Sam, so you got $1,000 allocated across Love Field, January 6th, the Yak, the AFC South, backup quarterback. So the backup quarterbacks need to win 4 of those games? What if it's 3-3?
Well, it'll be 1-1. Let me. I'm gonna throw in one more. I'm gonna throw in one more quarterback. So it's odd. I'm gonna say who's. I need a backup quarterback who's starting this week. Let me. Sam, you. I don't think Tannehill. I think Levis is still starting technically as of.
He's
right
also
now.
kind of the backup.
Yeah, right. But I think Levis is technically slated to start. Oh, you know what? I'll throw in Nick Mullins. I'll throw in Nick Mullins with the Vikings.
Okay, you sound like a comedy festival booker.
Nick Mullins. Did you guys see his Netflix special? It was fantastic.
Who do the Vikings play?
The Lions.
Okay.
I'm waiting for Jaron Hall's special on Tubi.
Jaron Hall just sounds like the name of the Vikings stadium. Oh, yeah. Did we conquer Jaron Hall? Okay, so we got that one. AFC South. Jameson Williams in the upper half of receivers for the Chicago Bears because of a podcast clip. Love Field, January 6th, and Yak. Where do you want to put your $1,000?
I'm going to put 500 on the Rams to have more Yak yards than the 49ers. Just I think the Niners will rest more starters. And I think this is a game where Tutu Atwell and Puka play and they...
You said 100 on this one?
I'm going to say 500.
500.
Ooh.
I'm going to bet on my team,
Yeah, that's worked out well for me this year.
And then I'm gonna put the other 500. I'm gonna put the other 500 on. Yes, there will be a touchdown in the southwest corner of and I'm gonna parlay it with a new bet. Carson Wentz interceptions? Will there be more Carson Wentz interceptions than presidents' names on the Epstein list?
Very topical, Aaron Rodgers.
So, I mean, we could be looking at a real 2-2 push here.
Yeah.
Depends on if Taft lands on there. So you're going to say more ints?
I'm going to say more INTs from Carson. I think he throws 3.
Okay.
I'll give that a 2.5 multiplier, honestly, because those are 2 hard to hit bets.
Now, is there one you want to lock in?
What does that mean?
I feel like the lock is going to be double the winnings. I feel like you have to lock the Rams one because you can't really lock the parlay is already like a massive multiplier.
Yeah, I'll lock in the Rams.
Yeah. Okay, so the Rams, like with your lock, you get double the winnings or triple the losses.
Dude, you could end up at such an insanely high amount of money, or honestly,
it's
you might like.
For Clyde.
Yeah.
Clyde is going to have to end up paying you money.
I'll lock in the Rams bet.
Well, we'll let you know where you land with all this. Thanks for being here and hanging out, Sam.
This is great.
Tell everyone where to find you online. Give them socials.
Just follow me on Instagram at Sam Wiles. I've got stuff coming out in the spring. Just follow me there, and I do stand up and stuff. And check it out if you live in LA.
Great. Wiles, right?
Wiles, yeah.
Great. Oh my God, she's behind me. All right, thank you guys so much. Thanks, Sam. All right, here we go. I'm going to put my bets down. We'll get going here real quick. I'm putting $200 on the touchdown in the Southwest end zone. I say yes. I'm putting $150 on a touchdown longer than the QAnon shaman's jail sentence. I'm putting $100 on the Rams yak. I'm going to put $100 on a push on Carson Wentz Epstein now that we have that bonus bet. I think it's going to be a push. And then I'm going to do, that puts me at 150 on yes to the backup quarterbacks winning more than they lose. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll put 150 on Jameson Williams being in the upper half. I don't even know anything about that. And then I'm going to put the last 150 on the Jags. And I'm going to lock in the touchdown in the end zone.
I listened to that whole damn Dallas Love Field bet, and I was like, this is a bet. This is an amazing bet. This is incredible. I was like, this is everything I'd ever wished and dreamed for. And then I give a Cat Williams bet, and it just
the Cat Williams one was good. It was good. All right, where's your money?
I looked up what Cedric the Entertainer's favorite NFL team was. All right, I'm going 300 on the Texans Colts. I'm saying yes, a scoring play beyond the 41. I'm going to go $300 on that.
Okay.
Rams Niners. I'm going to take the Rams have more yak yards for $100.
Okay.
You know what? I'm feeling frisky. I'm going to say yes, $100 on the Southwest corner. I had to bet on that one. I'm going to say I'm going to do $300 on the Jags. I think there's no chance the Titans win this game. Of course, and then this is how they'll do it. Like they'll win one more game just to screw me over.
Sure.
For that bet. And then I'm going to do no for the $100 on the quarterback controversy. I don't think Blaine Gabbert's stealing Patrick Mahomes' job anytime soon, or any of those guys, honestly. And then my pop culture bet of the week, I believe I just have $100 left, right?
Do, yeah.
So I'm going to say, $100. You know what? I think the Lions, will they be? Yeah. Yes. I'm going to say yes. He is in the upper percentile. The thing is, Jameson Williams is like such a streaky player, so that one's going to be tough. My lock of the week, I'm going... I'm going to go, my lock of the week, I'm going yak yards, 100 on Rams.
Great. We got big potential here. Thank you guys so much for listening. Find Sam Wiles on Instagram. Follow us at Korked with a K, and hope you have a wonderful day.
Love you. Good luck on your bets.